All right, well, Governor Walz made the big announcement this week and changed some of what we can and can't do here in Minnesota. So we're going to talk to Joe Henry now from Lake of the Woods Tourism to discuss that, talk about fishing up at Lake of the Woods, and just how things are progressing this summer. Joe, thanks for coming back on the show.
My pleasure, Brett. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So some good news, obviously. Everybody was kind of expecting that Governor Walz was going to let the stay-at-home order expire, but that doesn't mean everything is just back on again, right?
No, it sure doesn't. For Lake of the Woods, we so what he did is he's going to let the current executive order expire, and then a new one goes into place on Monday. And the new one, it's kind of like he's opening up that spigot a little bit more. But unfortunately for Lake of the Woods, he opened it to the point from a fishing perspective that you can go out with a guide and up to 2 customers. And with our lake and our resort community relying so much on charter boats where you can get up to 6 people, it really doesn't do much for us. And it's come to a point now where you can make a lot of justifications as far as going into a big box store, a grocery store, and Uber with a stranger in an enclosed environment, or you could go on a 27 to 30 foot charter boat, be out in the open air, have spacing between everybody, have the captain, with protective gear, hand sanitizer, all that. You can make a lot of justifications. The point of it is that I'll tell you what, without charters being able to run, we got customers that want to go. These customers are staying together in a cabin. Those same customers that stay together in a cabin, we would hope could go step onto a charter boat with a guide who's got protective gear on and is willing to and wants to go fishing. And that's the problem. Without that group being able to come up and go on a charter boat, they don't have a cabin stay. They're not eating food. They're not. The economy stops, and our economy up at Lake of the Woods has been stopped for a while now. We're getting some people coming up with their own boats, and man, we appreciate it. We appreciate everybody coming up, but people coming up in their own boats and fishing, that sort of thing. But we have a big part of our resort community that caters to charter fishing, and it just makes life easy for people that either don't have a boat or don't want to navigate Lake of the Woods.
Well, I was happy to hear that there was guided fishing allowed now. Obviously, it's only 1 or 2 people. So you're saying, though, that a group of guys could come stay in a cabin up at Lake of the Woods and sleep in the same bedroom, I suppose, in the same cabin, but can't go on an open air charter boat up there.
That is correct. Yeah. So a group of anglers, guys or gals, can come up and they can stay in a cabin. They can stay at a hotel room, a lodge room. They can stay together as a group. They either they're from the same household, perhaps they know each other, but they're staying together. But they can't go on an open air charter boat together. And that's the part that's a little bit difficult. And it just it's very important for our lodging community, because that's one of the ways that why people come up to the walleye capital of the world is to jump on a charter boat and navigate the big waters of Lake of the Woods, where there's huge schools of roaming walleyes. That's part of the draw.
And they could obviously take 2 people out in one of those charter boats, but they'd basically just be throwing money into the water at that point, right? It doesn't make sense for them to run those boats with only 2 people in it.
It does not, no, because you know what? Just right off the bat, you got, I don't have to go through the expenses of a charter boat, but and the cost of the boat, insurance, gas, licensed charter captain, bait. I can go on and on. It makes no sense. Literally.
Some of the other changes, I guess, or some of the other announcements, part of this, limited and safe reopening of bars and restaurants and other places of public accommodation on June 1st. So does that mean that some of those bars and restaurants could open up there at the resorts June 1st?
Certainly they can, yes. And, so they really had to make an announcement on that because, being that the bars and restaurants were shut down, it takes at least a couple of weeks to start ramping up. It's employee training. It's, most of them have already cleaned for COVID-19 and they're ready to roll. It's filling your coolers and your freezers back up with food. It's all those different things that got shut down. You just don't ramp up in one night. It takes a while to kind of ramp up again. So they're starting to ramp up. Challenge is that if we don't get the charter boats rolling, a lot of the people won't be there to eat the food or to drink the booze. You know what I mean? It's a trickle down effect, and it's very important for us. Out in Ohio, Lake Erie, their charter boats are rolling, and
Oh,
I know the
really?
Lake Erie Charter. Yes, they are. So the
Oh,
Lake Erie
interesting.
Charter, Lake Erie Boat Charter Boat Association, their president talked about how they're taking different measures. Things like putting tape down to space people out. When you run into a spot on the charter boat, people aren't out crowded in the enclosed cabin; they're out in the open. Things like decontamination and of course the captain wearing safety gear. There's a number of things that people can do that really makes it quite easy. I mean, think about, we talked about going into the busy stores, going into an Uber or Lyft in a closed area with a stranger. My gosh, you're coming up with a group of people whom you are staying in the same cabin with. Certainly, you would think those same people could go step aboard a charter. Boy, our guys are ready, willing, and able to go out. They feel very, very confident that they can take safety precautions to protect themselves and the customers. And we just believe it's time.
So if June 1st, a bar or restaurant could open back up with limited capacity, I'm sure they'll try to say, I think right now gatherings, 10 people or less, a charter boat or launch is usually about six,
Up to six.
up to six plus the captain. So you're talking 7 people on a charter boat. Do you think that June 1st, if you were to look into your crystal ball, that might become allowed when we get to June?
Well, I would sure hope so, and I would sure hope that it would become sooner than that. I hope he would start allowing that. It's crucial, and it comes to a point where, we have resorts that we're talking into the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost revenue for their resorts. We lost the last 2 weeks of March. We lost our spring walleye. We lost our sturgeon season, and now we're limited for people that have their own boats to come up. And certainly, we'll welcome people that have their own boats. We want them to come up and stay at our resorts. It's hugely important. At the same time, again, a big part of our fishing is our charter boat fishing, and it's really holding back. And the part people won't think about is it's not only the reservations that we're losing, and it's the lost revenue now, but it's the reservations that are canceling for the future, and it's the people that aren't calling to make a reservation for the future. So when you add all of that up, it's a huge loss, and it's not cheap to run a resort. I mean, there's just inherent fixed costs that you have, and it's very, very challenging times for our resort communities.
So until then, people could bring their boats up there, stay in a cabin, and they can order food delivered to their cabins, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to try to come up and help out, and give some money to the area right now, that's something they could do.
Well, absolutely. Come up and stay in a cabin, bring your own boat, jump in with some folks, whatever. And, fish are biting. I mean, the fish are biting excellent. They're in the river. They're in 4 Mile Bay. They're across that whole South Shore. Folks that went out up at the northwest angle, they're getting them on shoreline structure, points, neck down areas, jigging a minnow, anchored up, jigging a minnow over the side of the boat. And you want to talk about fun fishing. And Brett, we're talking about 28 to 32-inch walleyes. We're talking about pike. 44-inch pike was caught just 2 days ago out in the river. We're talking about some big pike being caught accidentally by walleye anglers, of course.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fish being caught. Limits of walleyes and saugers are coming in. I mean, it's game on, and it's only getting better because the water's warming. So, I mean, if you want to come up and catch fish, oh man, stay in a cabin. You have it to yourself. Heck, it's fishing's great, and we would love anybody to come up.
I just want to kind of run through a couple of the other things that are part of this, Joe. Families are allowed overnight camping at a single campsite, but not in a developed campground. Private and public developed campgrounds are still closed. I don't understand that one myself. I don't know if it's just because of bathroom facilities or what. I'm not quite sure. Small one-on-one or one-on-two guided fishing, birding, or other instructional activities can resume, obviously just up to 2 people. Outdoor tournaments, competition practices, and sports that allow for social distancing. So what do you think? What do you think that would entail? I feel like most outdoor sports, unless you're maybe like a clay target league or NASP or something like that, but don't most sports, there's not a lot of social distancing in most sports, is there?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe Frisbee golf. I don't know.
Frisbee golf. Yeah. Well, Well, at least, gosh, and I know they need to have those launches opening, but at least we're starting to go in the right direction. Hopefully, things change for you guys up there sooner than later. What else? I mean, what else can we tell people about Lake of the Woods right now, Joe?
Well, so we have our northwest angle, and right now the U.S.-Canada border for the time being is shut down, so you can't drive up to the angle to go to a resort up there. However, you can boat across the lake and stay in Minnesota waters. So you can boat across. The other option is we have some of our resorts that offer a launch service or a transport service. So it costs a couple extra bucks, but you jump on a big charter boat. No worries. They'll take you and all your gear up to your favorite lake, Northwest Angle Resort. Go fishing for a couple of days up there with. Now you can go fishing with a guide. Go up there and do your own thing, or you rent a boat, and then they'll transport you back. So it's a no worry way to get up there and enjoy the Northwest Angle when the border's still shut down. People maybe don't know it, but with that little tip of Minnesota that sticks up into Canada, you can actually travel up that little tip and stay in Minnesota. The time you have to go into Canada is when you drive.
Right. Well, Joe, I appreciate the time here. If people want to learn more about the angle or everything else going up at Lake of the Woods, or where they might be able to stay, where can they find more info?
Well, I'll tell you what, you can check out our Facebook page, Brett. In fact, I just posted videos on how to tie and properly store and manage your own crawler harnesses. Real easy videos, because crawler harnesses are starting to kick into gear with the warmer water for walleyes. But our Facebook page, Lake of the Woods Tourism. Otherwise, check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Thanks, Joe.